Hi everyone and welcome back to the Woodland Reboot. Today I'm in the bush with Kevin Perkins, his monster equipment, and we're felling trees. I am not on the property this morning. I'm out at a location about 30 kilometers east of my property, and I'm here to look at some forestry equipment and some forestry operations from the gentleman who I purchased my logs from. His name is Kevin Perkins. He has a company. The name is KDL Construction, and one of the units that he has under his company is a land clearing forestry equipment unit. And he has several employees and some really fascinating equipment, one of which you can see operating very much off in the distance there as he's moving towards the line of trees. And that's what I'm here to have a look at today. Kevin's been nice enough to let me come out to his current job site. This, I think it's 60 acres, and where he's got the rights, or he has the job to remove all of the trees that you see before us. And he's in the last month, he's cleared all of this land, behind this old barn, and you can see some of the stacks of logs down by the cars there. I personally find this type of work really cool and interesting, and Kevin's got one of these companies, like I said, involved in the clearing of land and the removal of the trees, the harvesting of the trees. Now what's interesting here is the reason why this land is being cleared is that one of the larger, I don't know what you call it, I won't say the name of the company, but a construction, building, primary resources company in the region has purchased this land and has already done the surveys, and it's going to be turned into a sand pit. I believe there's another sand pit nearby from one of the company's competitors, and he logically bought some land in the region knowing that it's underlaid by sand, and they're going to turn into a sand pit. So all of this lumber, all of these trees that we see here, Kevin explained to me, had he not come in and made a deal for the lumber and be given the opportunity to clear it, all of this lumber would have just been cut and mulched up and just carried off or burned and put into a dump somewhere, just cleared and pushed off to the side. So as much as we don't like to see these woodlands disappear, you know, it's harvesting, it's a product. And had they not been recovered, had they not come in and been able to use their equipment on the land, all of these resources would have been wasted. And I think at the end of the day, it's also a forestry plantation. I mean, if you look at the stumps in the ground over here, you can see that these pine trees were planted as a plantation. So these were planted on this land probably 20 or 30 years ago. It's probably a fast-growing eastern pine species for the purpose of harvesting. You see how neat the rows are? So, you know, this is all historic farmland. It's been recovered as farmland probably in the last 150 to 200 years, and it goes through this cycle of replanting, and in this case, this land is being turned into a sand pit. All right, let's walk through the plantation, getting close to Kevin, but keeping our safe distance, and see if we can get some footage from this side. There's Kevin in there. that awesome, everyone? The machine Kevin is operating is a Valmet 911C. Valmet is a Finnish company. There are several Finnish companies that manufacture top-end forestry harvesting equipment. They do it well, and they've been doing it for a number of decades. You can see Kevin's in there working in his cab. I think he's got joysticks in each hand. And it makes for really easy and efficient work with a machine like this, obviously. Take a look at that machine, everyone. Again, that's Kevin Perkins, his harvester machine. But as you can see, it is six-wheeled, built for working in this kind of terrain. It has a boom on it, and look at that massive cutter unit up front. That allows Kevin to grab the tree, cut it, bring it down from a vertical to a horizontal position, and then start delimbing it, taking the branches off and cutting it to length. He's got a nice operator cabin in there from which to do his work, and we'll get some footage of that later. But Kevin's told me that it's obviously computer operated. And the computer helps him obviously measure out and cut those timbers to the lengths that he's interested in. And he's right now, I believe, cutting them to 8 feet. And he's able, with that machine, to pretty much drop all of these logs right in this row of timber that he's harvesting. Grabs it at the base. Awesome. Just walking through one of the cut areas on the plantation here, and you can see the kind of terrain that these guys are working in. So you can hear that Kevin is cutting off to my left, but I'm right now in the plantation, and you can see that how organized and how well planted these trees are. I would almost argue that I think that this plantation should have been thinned at some point. I think the trees are a little bit too close together and possibly didn't maximize growth potential. The hydraulic power generated by the hydraulic system is impressive. And these are not small logs. They're not biggest logs, but they're not small logs, and it picks them up and moves them around like they really are matchsticks. The head allows Kevin also to pick up the debris and clear his way. And there's the forwarder in action. Dave is collecting woods from these large piles that Kevin's made out here in the fields, and he's going to move them towards the roadway where those larger piles are located. See, Dave collects the logs with the crane, tosses them in the trailer in the back of the forwarder there. I was fortunate enough to spend about an hour and a half in the bush with Kevin, his team, and this amazing machinery that he's got to use to clear the brush, fell the trees, and harvest these timbers. It's one thing to see it in a video, it's another thing to see it in person. If you know someone who has this kind of machinery, ask them if you can see it in action. It is impressive and it is quite interesting. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this video. And please subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next one.